Looks like we are live for as long as the live feed will allow us to be. What is happening, everybody? I hope you're having a fantastic whatever day you're watching this. Kind of a fun video for you. Live shows are always fun, but this one is a little bit more so because, well, we're starting to see some of the new bikes hit the bricks for 2026. And I got to say, there are some that warrant quite a bit of excitement. What I want to do is I want to go over a couple of these bikes with you guys. It's not going to be a super long show, but I want to talk about each one of these bikes because these are the motorcycles that I'm the most excited about. I think that there's the most buzz surrounding these bikes, but more to the point, look, these are sport bikes. Okay. We've been in and around this, what do you call it? The sport naked era for so long. It is so refreshing to finally get a chance to see some real old school muscles start to hit the street again. So in saying all of that, if you're new to the live show, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. This is my little corner of YouTube, basically just a background noise generator. Usually talking about motorcycle stuff, sometimes car stuff. Never really know what's going to end up going on with this show. It kind of goes off into its own path every once in a while. So anyway, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. If you like what you hear, I'm probably sure you're bored with what you see already. Hit that subscribe button. It helps out the channel more than you know. And it's my opportunity to interact directly with you guys and to work through videos that sometimes just can't make it to prime time. I'll typically talk about ride reviews that I've done, different motorcycles that are up and coming for that, all of that kind of good stuff. And also to remind you guys, I will be at Stub Cycles on Saturday, November 8th. We've got the Suzuki Demo Day. I'm going to be there hanging out with the crew. If you're in Houston, Texas, come by Stubbs on Saturday. I'll be there probably between, I don't know, like noon and 2, noon and 3. So in saying all of that, let's dive into these new bikes. But before I do that, I got to check in with my early birds. Skids is in. Yeah, I got the ball guy with the flex and the specs. I like it. Sam saying, I forgot it was Tuesday. Indeed. EICMA is in full force. Indeed, EICMA is. There's some really exciting bikes coming up. Skid saying, just going to say, if Honda V3R 900 e-compressor, will they do it? I don't know. That bike has been in development now for a hot minute. Don't know if it'll make it for 26, but you never know. Could Honda slap that in a Rebel? Come on, Honda. Well, I don't know if it'll make it into that chassis, but it could make it into ADV bikes and or maybe a sport variant. We'll see, although there already have been some Honda motorcycles that have been released through EICMA. Not quite the bikes that we're going to be seeing here today. These are a little bit more of the heavy hitters. And look, for some parts of the world, this is a huge deal. So Sam saying it's terrible what happened in Louisville. I don't know what happened in Louisville. I don't keep up with world events. I pretty much don't know. Weird. You would think that I would, but we'll see. Whatever happened, I'm sure if it was bad, I'm sorry it happened, but I don't ever keep up with anything. Skid saying, I was digging the CB1000F. Yes, very nice bike indeed. There are some bikes that I'm probably, well, they're not going to be necessarily showcased on the show tonight. You got Norton's bike. That's, you know, oh, hell. That one, you know, the one. Anyway, the one with the fancy name. The new Norton's great. It gets aspirational, super expensive. I don't even know if we're going to get it in the States. Let's see. Extract is asking, should I get a 1K or keep my R6? Keep your R6 and get a 1K. Skid saying, get the R1. We're going to be talking about the R1 here in just a second. So let's go ahead and dive into this. It's going to be kind of a short show, but short and sweet. It's going to be fun. So let's go ahead and dive in to the big news, especially if you are a member of the European Union, because my guys, that's right, the ZX10 is now going to be Euro 5 compliant. What? Listen, it's been a while since the European market has seen a ZX10. This thing is absolutely sick to death. It looks awesome in that black. But guys, this thing is chock full of technology. And well, I'll take it a step further. Uh, just, I mean, look at the thing. Absolutely stunning to look at. More to the point, doesn't look like this thing's going to be giving up anything in terms of power. Rated at somewhere just south of 200 horsepower, as most of these Japanese sport bikes are, but with a ton of upgrades. The ZX10 is sporting a number of upgrades, including a new rear link. It's also including, let me get down to the technology pack here. Bear with me here just a second, guys. Improved aerodynamics and all the rest of the stuff that comes along with it. It's going to be rocking a set of the RS12 Bridgestone tires. Definitely good. New lower link. You're talking about they're going to drop the front of the bike by, it looks like, 2 more millimeters. You've got the big performance winglets. All these bikes are coming with that now, and an improved swing arm pivot height. That's a lot of improvements, guys. This is a lot of work that went into this bike above and beyond what the bike was before. So what exactly can you expect from it? Well, I'm not sure. The specs aren't out yet. Now, the only drawbacks to the ZX10, in my estimation, has been the riding position. The bike just seems to feel big, longer than all the rest of the bikes, at least in terms of feel. A whole lot of room in front of you. But that's not necessarily a deal breaker for some. It's just the initial fit and feel for me didn't really follow in line with what I was hoping it would be. The only other issue with the Kawasaki, and this is something that I'm addressing with my ZX6, is the quick shifter. That thing is known to not necessarily be awesome. Now, some guys have had issues with it, some haven't. Again, the ZX4 and the ZX6 are known to have issues with their quick shifters. Some guys just do away with them completely. I'm making a little bit different change with mine, with a shaft stabilizer and with a different sensor. We're going to see if that fixes it. If not, may just be going away from quick shifter altogether. But I will say this, outside of those things, and maybe they fixed it for 26, the European market is going to have themselves a ZX10. And guys, that is huge news. I mean, massive news. By the way, the TFT screen is huge, gives you a nice analog look, gives you everything you want to see right there, including the Rideology app, which gives you your turn-by-turn navigation right there in the screen. So it's got the connectivity. It's got the chops in terms of performance. They made some pretty significant changes to this bike in terms of making it handle better and feel better. Again, we don't have the final specs, so I don't know what the wheelbase is. And since we don't have a bike yet to mess with, I don't know what the fit's going to be. But I can tell you this, the outgoing ZX10 was one of the bikes that just didn't quite fit me very well. It's certainly the most aggressive of the leader bikes that I had sat on, even more so than the R1. So what's this new ZX10 going to be like? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. But it's a bike that is very much worthy of a chat because it is going to be available in the European market, which is a major upshot. So anytime we're talking about European market bikes, the Japanese being able to get to a European market is a great thing. So let me check in with you guys. Sam's saying I'm thinking about building my own custom. All right, cool. Skid saying, just look at it. Yeah. Say, loving the Hondo Shadow bobber builds. Carl saying, what up? What up, Carl? Oh, Sam's looking to do a Harley frame and bars. I just build a Harley. All right. So that is your Kawasaki ZX10. Again, big congrats to the European market. They deserve it. Now, what other motorcycles are floating around out there? What's another motorcycle? Now, this has not been confirmed for Euro 5. I don't believe that it will be. But this is the bike that's got me all kind of a certain way right now. And that is the 2026 Yamaha R1. Guys, now I don't know if this thing's going to make it to Europe. Nobody said that it is, so I've got to assume that it's not. However, I mean, seriously, feast your eyes on this thing. I mean, it's absolutely incredible looking. I mean, dude, it's an R1. It's got the chops, but it's got those big carbon fiber wings and a 55.3-inch wheelbase. So to put that into perspective, it's basically the size of a GSXR 750. All right. That is roughly the same wheelbase as the Honda CBR 1000RR. That is in essence the same size as a GSXR 750. They're tiny. So small bike. Here's another thing. R1, obviously not losing any power, especially since it's not going to be a Euro 5 compliant bike. It doesn't look like. But they're not missing a step when it comes to price. Oh, but there's more. And I don't want to talk about the R1M or any of that. Oh, what? Are you kidding me? Okay, check it out. 55.3-inch wheelbase. So she's 448 pounds. Yeah, okay. That's the one thing that almost made me think that this bike could end up being a Euro 5 bike. That 448-pound number would kind of walk in lockstep with just all the catalytic converters and exhaust and all the unnecessarily WTF that you have to put on one of these bikes to get it to pass emissions. But that's beside the point. Look, it's absolutely drop dead gorgeous. And here's the other thing. This red and white livery. I mean, dude, this is something that Yamaha is doing across the board for their 70th anniversary. Let me show you. Whoa, what the hell was that? Somehow or another, I just screwed that all completely up. Hold, please. Hold on just a second. Live show here. This is what sometimes happens. Hold on. Oh, Lord. Here we go. Let's get back to it. Come on, Mason. Get with the program, son. Here we go. Okay, we're back. All right, let's get back to this thing. So what we're going to start seeing is this bike checking in with that red and black livery. They've got quite a few bikes, though, that are checking in with that. Anyway, drop dead gorgeous bike. And, you know, look, for a lot of folks, get this thing pulled up here. If it will, come on, you thing. Anyway, limited quantities available, all that other kind of good stuff. I think you get the idea. Guys, look, the Yamaha R1 is back. The world is a much better place with the R1. Nothing sounds like the R1. And I got to tell you, of the sport bikes that I've ridden, if you've never ridden an R1 and you've only ridden a GSX-R 1000, CBR 1000, ZX-10, if you've never ridden an R1, you're missing out on what could arguably be the best riding experience of the leader class bikes. The reason why I say that is because of just how good the engine is. That cross plane crank, it's making the same horsepower as a GSX-R 1000 for the most part, from about the middle of the RPM range up. They're great to ride. It's a leader bike, so it makes plenty of power. But what I will say is that it is incredibly smooth to ride. And for a lot of folks, it simply just does not get better than the R1. It can be a little bit pricey, admittedly. However, look, for a lot of folks, you get what you pay for, and a lot of what you're paying for is the experience. So in saying that, yeah, it's an absolutely gorgeous bike, and hopefully coming into 2027, we're going to see these things hit dealerships. The only downside for me for the R1 is that in my experience, they weren't all that available. Yamaha, at least for the year 2025, did not or weren't pumping out production with these bikes. And so that's a bit of an issue. We saw that with the R1. We also saw that with the R9. Were there reasons for that? I don't know. Maybe Yamaha was just holding off, waiting for the 26 because it's so much different of a motorcycle. I don't know. That's just me speculating, but I can tell you it is one heck of a good looking bike. And for around $19,000 MSRP, it's going to be a tough one to deny, but I wouldn't expect any deals on this bike. Full freight, full prep, full sticker is what you're going to be spending on these things. I have a feeling. So let me check in with you guys. Let's see. Oh, Sam saying a UPS plane crash. Oh, that sucks. Let's see. Catch back at where do we end up here? Oh, X is saying his favorite 1K is a CBR 1000. Man, I'll tell you what. Here's my case for the CBR 1000, and I keep coming back to that bike in my head for a couple of different reasons. You know that white one that I did the ride review on? I came on like 2 different occasions about this close to buying that bike. The reason for that is it's the lightest of the 1000s. It is the smallest of the 1000s. That bike rides like a middleweight. The only drawback was aftermarket support for the latest bike, not for the earlier ones. But the other thing was, I think you have to have a tune to switch tire sizes. I would not want to run a 190/50. I would have to see a 190/55 on the back of that bike. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that bike, and I could be totally wrong about this, but I think that bike has, with its nannies, it has a problem with that tire swap. And I think you have to just adjust that in the tune. It just kind of comes with the territory with that bike. But outside of that, I love the ride of the CBR 1000, and I've just about bought one on a couple of different occasions. Awesome bike. Let's see. Oh, Skid saying new Indian Sport Scout. We'll get to the cruisers. Mainly hanging with these sport bikes right now. I will say this: there's a ton of bikes coming for EICMA, and one of the cool things about this new crop of sport bikes that's hitting the streets is that they're true sport bikes. You've got manufacturers. Let me get my cheat sheet over here. Outside of CF, you've got QJ, Voji, Zontes, Kove, and ZXJC. These are all Chinese manufacturers that in different markets are dropping motorcycles left and right. And it's one of these things where these bikes don't suck. All right. They're great motorcycles. They're not quite to the level of top tier Japanese machines, but you don't have to be. And this is one of those things. There's going to be a lot of motorcycles at EICMA coming out of Chinese manufacturers. And I know a lot of folks are going to kind of, have some kind of they're going to think some kind of a way about those bikes. But I got to remind everybody that it wasn't that long ago that the power envelope and the performance envelope that those motorcycles are going to provide was considered to be pretty high, pretty potent. So yeah, they're a little bit heavy. Yeah, they're a little bit down on power, but they're very high on technology. They're very high on styling, and they're very good at just being motorcycle. It doesn't have to be an outright race winner to be an outright sales winner, to be an outright sales success. So anyway, let me get back into you guys. We are going to talk on one particular Chinese motorcycle coming up. Let's see. It's going to say, it's your money, Sam. Go for it. Yeah, build you something cool. Oh, Carl's saying, if you're talking sport bikes, we can't ignore the Panigale V4. It's not considered a leader bike. Well, it kind of is, since it's an 1100, also a bit more pricey. See, that's the thing. Leader bike first of all, leader bike for a lot of guys only is inline 4 998 999 cc. But these V4s, they kind of get mushed in with the rest of the leader bike crowd. V4 Panigale, Aprilia RS V4, all of their variants, they're still leader bike-ish. And don't worry about what the specs say. It's only about how the bike gets down the road. And I promise you, there's not a V4 variant that's going to be just leaps and bounds ahead of where keep in mind, de-restrict both of them, okay? Because the U.S. market's a little bit different. But de-restrict both of the classes of bikes, and they're all very similar in how they get down the road, regardless of what a dyno will show. Proven that over and over again. And one of the things about the Ducatis, the funny thing about the V4 Panigale or any of the other Ducatis that are out there is that a lot of times they are a bit more style over substance, with the V4 Panigale, though, being more real performance than any of those other bikes. But, unfortunately, the only real new Ducati we can talk about is the newer V2 Panigale. And for a lot of guys, it may be better, kind of, sort of, whatever on track than its outgoing Testastrada equivalent. But man, there's just a lot of folks that just love the 959, aka the 955, and so it's kind of a weird thing. Ducati has a weird habit of serving up something that is just so good, only to serve up something so different yet as good. And I think that's really where they are with the V2. But I gotta say, of the bikes that we've been talking about so far, that R1. That's the one I would like to get my hands on. But again, are we even going to have any kind of inventory to even check out? I doubt it very seriously. Yamaha's been very slow about that, which could act to their detriment. So what else could we talk about? What other motorcycles are there to go over here? Well, we talked about some Chinese stuff. You can't let it slide. We got to talk about the V4 CF Moto. All right, guys, there it is. Active Aero, all the technology, 205 horsepower, acclaimed just shy of 200 kilograms. I'm betting that that's dry weight. Look, what's to talk about when it comes to CF Moto? We don't really know anything about this bike yet, but what we do know is that in general, let's pull this thing up real quick. What it? Oh, we're getting blown up. Okay, go back. What we do know about this bike, though, is that, here we go. What we do know about it is that for a lot of folks, this could be their ticket into hyper sports class. Now, I get it. The wings are ridiculous, but they are active aero, semi-active suspension, humongous TFT screen, but we don't know anything else about the bike. What'll it cost? Don't know. What's the real weight going to be? I don't know. Is it really going to put out 205 horsepower? Look, in this day and age, you almost have to make that kind of power if you've got this kind of a bike. But I got to say, it's probably going to be pretty good. What about durability? How well is it going to hold up? I don't know. But CF Moto doesn't seem to really be having a problem right now with any of their bikes. So with that being said, could end up being pretty good. A lot of folks are really licking their chops when it comes to this bike. And if it does well enough, well, it could really throw out a bit of or throw down, I should say, a bit of a gauntlet to the rest of the motorcycling community. You got to see it like this. CF Moto is the most, use the word accepted? It's the most well-distributed of the Chinese brands. And, well, considering that they have an owning interest in several other manufacturers, and they've got the chops and the money and the drive from their upper management to make exciting machines, well, it kind of stands to reason that a motorcycle like this could be the future of what sport bikes end up looking like for a lot of folks. As these Japanese motorcycles become closer and closer to $20,000 propositions, which is a shitload of money for a motorcycle, motorcycles like the CF Moto, they could start showing up at, say, $14,000 or $15,000, and it would more or less act as a price reset. And by the way, we can keep talking about that quality thing. There's a lot of folks out there with 675 SSs that are having a ball with those machines. No callbacks, no issues, no problems really whatsoever, no issues with frames, and no failures. And that's the key takeaway here. You can talk about quality and you can speculate all you want, but the proof's in the shop. The proof's in the claims rate with these bikes, right? And there's just no recalls. There's no problems with it. No claims. Everything seems to be working as it should be. And so in saying all of that, you take something like this bike with Brembo brakes, some name branded stuff going on with it. Next thing you know, yeah, you might have a real winner on your hands, and it could come in at a bargain price. Now, $15,000, $16,000, that's not necessarily cheap. All right. But you get a lot of bike for your buck. And if that does end up being the number that we see with this bike, get ready, because this thing is going to sell faster than they can make it. And I'm excited to see how well it does. Let me check in with you guys real quickly, and we will get back to it. DM is in. Made it to alive. Got the ball guy with the flex and the specs. I like it. Skids is, yeah, V2 is going into the hyper. V2 is going into everything. Oh, yeah, DM saying, build where your heart takes you. Yes, Shovelhead be a good bike. I like Shovelheads. Let's see. DM saying the China bike is sick. Yes, it is. This was our Max night to shine. True that. He's saying as long as you don't subscriptions, what? Oh, Carl, I talked about the Manx very briefly. There's a and there's the Manx R and then the Manx, yes. So yeah, here's the thing with the Manx. I don't know if we're going to get it in the States. Number one, I don't know what kind of price it's going to demand, and that's the other thing. It's also a 205 horsepower V4. It's also slated to be around 200 kilos. That's a good place to be. But I will say this, when it comes to Norton, it's pretty as hell, but it's also going to be expensive as hell. And, it's a good design exercise. We'll just have to see how well that design lives up in reality. No, the Norton is not electric. It's a 205, I want to say 205 horse, 1200 cc V4. The one thing they did with it, and I saw Moto Bob's piece on it too. There was a couple of other things that I had seen on it. The primary objective with that bike was to make the power, but to make it lower in the RPM range, hence the 1200 cc. I like that idea. And I think it's going to be a great bike. I think it's going to be a bike that's very aspirational, obviously. But look at the problem with the Norton is that showing up with the Norton doesn't get you style points or street cred or anything like that. I mean, BMW 1000 insert letters, double R, whatever, the newer R1, right? The newer ZX10, all of these bikes are now a lot more dynamic. And I'll venture to say this, roll up on this CF Moto, whatever it is, the Batmobile that it might look like, you roll up on this thing and it's going to freak everybody out. And that's just kind of how it is. I mean, the name brands, motorcycle guys nowadays are just, they're moving away from this name brand bias. You're starting to see a lot of guys become a lot more accepting of the Chinese brands. And accepting is kind of a funny thing, because accepting implies that you didn't accept it before, but now you've embraced something. This is just normal. You don't think about the brand of coffee cup. You think about the brand of the coffee, right? And that's what this is. They're not worried about the brand of the bike. They're worried about what the thing is like to ride. So the technology suite, the power output, the feel of the thing, that's what matters more, because people are just kind of coming to their senses and they're understanding that, look, man, most of the crap that you're buying anyway comes from China. Can't really bitch about it. Look, here's what they can offer. And if it's really good, then it's really good. It doesn't really matter what shores it was birthed upon. So let me see what you guys are up to. RMAC is in. You want to start talking about the diesel on a bike? Yeah, there's a lot of guys that build diesel motorcycles. Build one of those. That'd be kind of cool. Skid saying, there's RMAC. Man, that bike is killer. Yes, it is. Yeah, it's going to be a pretty sick bike, man. No question about that. Make no mistake. Sam's, you know, what's funny, Sam, is back in the day, I did know of one dude that used an H2 motor, the H1. It was the 2-stroke 750 in a chopper build. Pretty sick. That was actually a thing back in the day, the triple cylinder 2-stroke choppers. Check it out. It's a pretty interesting thing. But yeah, guys, pretty sweet. Listen, lots of cool bikes. We're going to go through these one more time. Let's do this. We're going to go back and we're going to take a look at that ZX10. Let me do this. There we go. There we go. Okay. We're going to go back. We're going to take a look at that ZX10 again. Get back over here. Wow. All right. So look, for me, a bit of a sentimental favorite, right? Love my 636, with the only gripe being the quick shifter, and that is in the process of being remedied as we speak. I'm hoping to have that sensor on by the end of this weekend. And I'm hoping that fixes that weird long shifter throw that it's got. And if it doesn't, look, here's the thing. If it doesn't, I'm just going to convert it back, or not back. I'm just going to convert it to no quick shift. And we'll just rock it that way. It's a middleweight. I don't really need a quick shifter. And I just really like riding that bike way too much. Snuck it out the other night. Yeah, absolutely love that bike. And it gets to 140 pretty quickly, guys. Just saying. Anyway, sentimental favorite, ZX10. Look, you're never going to tell me that that is a bad looking bike. And now that it is Euro 5 compliant, holy cow, right? It's got the big wings. It's got the look. For me, I got to say, this might be on the top of my list. Definitely a sweet bike. Oh, Skids is out. Good seeing you, brother. Next on the list that we're going to talk about, we have one honorable mention that I haven't gotten to yet. So hang on just a second. We'll get to it here in just a second before we sign off. But the next one, y'all know what it is. It's that R1. Look, in the red, white, and black, this thing is sick looking. And the 70th anniversary color livery is going to be very difficult to come by. But I will say this. It is a bike that I personally would shell out the money for, provided you could find one at a dealer. That's the only thing about the R1 for me, is that, at least in my area, these things are a little bit hard to come by. And is that because Yamaha is moving to the new platform? Maybe. I don't know. And it's not Euro 5 compliant, so they're not making a ton. But if Yamaha, if you would just listen, pump out more bikes like this, We can be friends again. Oh, and by the way, I haven't really touched on it yet, but the new R9 does come with the red, white, and black livery as well, and it is sick looking. So definitely something to keep your eyes peeled for. Again, provided that Yamaha, will you please start making the R9 again, at least? That's another thing that's driving me nuts. So, and the debate goes on. 636 R9, 636 R9. Hold on, hold that thought. Let me jump into this real quick, because I do want to. Let me do this. Let me jump out of that. Where'd we go? Oh, here we go. Okay. Let me jump out of the R1. I want to show you guys that R9 real quick, just because we're talking about it. If it will work with me. Work with me, bud. Are they going to let me see it? Let me look at it. Well, hopefully, let's do this. Pull that R9 back up. All right, so check it out. I don't know if you can actually see this, but yeah, it is. You've got the 70th anniversary livery for the new R9. It's going to be sick. So check that out when you get a chance. Now, we talked about the CF Moto. There is one bike that I want to talk about that's got some folks a little bit miffed, and I want to get y'all's take on this. So we've talked about the ZX10, right? And we've talked about the CF Moto, the new V4. We've talked about the R1, little bit about the Manx R and the Manx, but I don't know really where I'm at with that. A little bit too aspirational, so I'll just let that dog lie. But one of the bikes that I think a lot of folks are a little bit worried, myself included, would have been the 2026 GXXR 1000. It's been kicked to 2027 for reasons, I guess. I'm not sure. But what I will say is this: great looking bike, but I'm almost a little bit concerned with the GSXR 1000 because ZX10 released. Great looking bike, lots of technology, no real drop in power. You know what I'm getting at here? Has the BFF forks. Lots going on for the ZX10. The R1 dropped. Again, lots of technology, great looking screen, engine to freaking die for. And what is there to say about the GSXR 1000? Is it possible that they may be holding off on the GSXR 1000 for 27 because they're going to do some more updates to it? Because here's the thing. The GSXR 1000 for 2026 was standing all by itself as the only, except for the CBR 1000 that everybody tends to forget about, but let's not worry about that right now, the only other Japanese motorcycle in the European market. Well, fast forward, now that we've got Kawasaki in the mix, we've got this new CF Moto potentially landing. We've got all these other Chinese bikes that are landing, not in a leader class segment, but you're getting where I'm coming from, I believe, when I tell you that with no TFT screen, only the LCD, and with really nothing changed on this bike outside of the internals of the engine for reasons, is there a place for this motorcycle potentially with more upgrades? Should they go a little bit further with this bike? TFT screen or some other level of connectivity? Now, I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see how well or how unwell this bike is received when it's put up against its European competition, which now includes the ZX10. Can it be as good? I don't know. We shall see. The final specs aren't out on the ZX10 either, so we've just got to be left to speculate. But again, the word is no power difference. Suzuki's down a little bit. Is that going to change some things? Suzuki's known for making some great mid-range torque, though. If only I could be in Europe to ride them all at the same time on the same day. we can only dream. But with that, guys, that is my quick wrap up of the leader bikes for 26, at least, as we are coming into. Are you guys as excited as I am? There's a lot of cool bikes that are coming out. Can't wait to see them. But more to the point, I think it's great that we're seeing more sport bikes hitting the streets. We're seeing a lot of folks getting a lot of interest in these things, which is always good. Anytime we can start getting new motorcyclists onto motorcycles, that will always be a great thing. But even better when they're on sport bikes. It's good. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I am going to check in with you guys real quick. And then I got to bounce. Let's see. Skid's checked out. DM said, I need to get a journo pass and get my ass to Europe. You're exactly right about that. I would love to. Maybe one day, right? But guys, with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Listen, get out there and do something cool for somebody. Chances are they need it way more than you know. And I will hope to catch you guys on the next one. Oh, updates. Before I forget, 636 getting its new quick shifter sensor because the stock one sucks. It does have the shift shaft stabilizer on it, which did make a difference in terms of smoothness. Things don't quite go as well as it should. It may just get the quick shifter pulled off of it. I love riding that bike. Snuck it out the other night, and I could feel myself slipping into some hooliganry with that bike. Love riding it. But with that being said, I got to wrap it up. You guys take it easy. And with that, that is a wrap. Y'all take it easy.